We do so many things every day. When I take a step back and look at our operation, two restaurants in Boulder, Black Cat, Bramble, and Hare, and then we have a big organic farm just outside of town. When I take a look at the operation and I see the staff and I see the culture that we've been able to build, it is amazing. I am proud. And I love everything that we do. Jill and I work incredibly hard all the time, but it's incredibly rewarding all at the same time. And at this point, I've learned not to sweat the chocolate, not to sweat the pineapples or the scallops or anything like that. We do everything that we can so that we can celebrate the things that we can't do. Our lives are filled with successes, and they're also filled with failures. Initially, I was thinking that this would just be kind of a mea culpa, tell you about all the failures that happen in our restaurant, and I can imagine all of you have the same failures that we do. You order togarashi, but toilet paper shows up. Normal, that happens to all of you. That happens to us as well. The AC breaks at 5:15 on a Friday of a holiday weekend. That happens to us, it happens to all of you. We have failure in our restaurant that happens every day. We've overlaid that with failure that happens at the farm as well. So Jill and I farm 130 acres. We grow everything that we use in the restaurant outside of the chocolate. We grow heritage grains, we grow mulefoot hogs. We raise 160 of those a year. We have not purchased pork in our restaurant for the last 8 or 9 years. We've raised it all ourselves. We sell at the Boulder County Farmers Market. We grow enough vegetables, really big, full-size, full-scale farm where we're able to sell at the farmers market. We're able to sell to other chefs, and then we have more than enough for the restaurant as well. We farm year-round, 250 sheep, thousands and thousands of pounds. Actually just under 50,000 pounds of vegetables we put into our root cellar in November to make it through the winter. Obviously our business is complex. We have restaurants just like you. We have the farm, and there's layers and layers of complexity. And complexity means failure. The big question is, can we or should we try to keep failure at the door? And my perspective on it is no. And I think my perspectives may be a little bit different only because I've failed so many times, and we have failure at the door every single day. I mean, ultimately, I think with Jill that we have this companion failure along with us on this journey that we bring every day. And that's painful because failure is never fun. But at the same time, we've learned lots and lots of things along the way. And at the same time, we've tried to enculture that with our staff. We've tried to build on the failures bit by bit, thousands of them, into how we operate the restaurant. The first of the big lessons we've learned from Mr. Failure is flexibility. So the way it works, all of you know, in a typical restaurant, you write the menu, you bring all the ingredients in, and then you order baby carrots, but you get baby wipes instead. That's a failure, and that happens all the time. Because we have the farm, can never guarantee what we're going to have in order to write a menu. And I figured that out very, very quickly. The first couple of years of the farm were really challenging. I went from 5 seasonal menus a year, to 10, to 12, to 15, changing every other week, then 52, changing every week, and I still could not guarantee that I would have the produce in every single day off of my own farm. And incidentally, I started the farm because I couldn't handle the prospect of not getting the produce from the food service companies, right? Like, what was I thinking? So now we've scrapped the whole system, and we do it backwards. We harvest early in the morning, starting at 5 in the morning. We harvest everything that we think we might need for that day. And then we bring it in. All the cooks show up at noon, and then we cook our hearts out. We have a huge amount of fun, and every day is like a Top Chef competition, all brand new produce. We cook everything from scratch every day, and we wait until the very last second, 20 minutes before the guests arrive, we print the menus, because it's only then that we know what we're actually going to be able to serve that day, only because we failed so many times along the way. Flexibility is absolutely important because bad things happen. Sometimes really bad things happen, and that reminds me of raising sheep. So we have 250 sheep just outside of Boulder. They're all raised out on pasture. Raising sheep is rewarding and more often than not relaxing. It's absolutely spectacular. That's the sugar coating on the pill for me in terms of farming. It's one of the parts that I enjoy the most. Out of a 365-day year, about 320-ish days are spectacular, really, really wonderful. There are 40 days when it's really, really hard. The work is incredibly difficult. We're bucking hay, we're moving pasture fences, hoof trimming, shearing, and so forth. It's really difficult. But then there are those last 5 days. Those days are so difficult. They bring you to your knees. They're so, so difficult. There's life and there's death on farms, and we see those on those days. When I get into the restaurant, I hope, I cross my fingers, that diners don't ask me why I charge so much for the lamb on the menu. I don't know that I can hold back. Those days are incredibly challenging. We all know that we're supposed to make lemonade out of lemons. I have probably one of the most productive lemonade stands out there because we get a lot of lemons. The key part in that is being open to what you have instead of what you want, being open to the possibilities that are out there. I plant cilantro. I have a group of dishes that I'm planning on making with all this cilantro, Chinese barbecue pork salad, whatever it's going to be. And then all of a sudden we get 4 hot days in a row, and instantly my cilantro goes to flour, and it's not good for any of those dishes anymore. And I think, all that work, all that time, now what am I supposed to do with cilantro flowers? Well, it turns out that they taste just as good, if not better than the cilantro itself, but it's different. So it's exactly the same, it's completely different, and it has its own character. So then that sends me down a completely different path I didn't expect to be on at all, turning these little delicate cilantro flowers into something that's breathtaking and absolutely beautiful. And if I had tried to grow the cilantro flowers, I probably would have failed miserably at it anyway. But it's the opportunity, and so you take that and you go with it. And that reminds me of raising turnips when I first started full-scale farming. So the idea was that I wanted something durable that in the middle of January, when it's bleak and snowy and the farm was put to bed, that I could point to it on the plate and say, we don't have a lot, but we do have these turnips, and it's January, and they came from my farm. The problem was I was terrible at growing turnips, and what I ended up with, because I had planted enough to make it through the winter, what I ended up with was mountainous piles of woody, tough, completely worthless turnips. No amount of kitchen creativity, souffle, or whatever could turn these things into anything worthwhile. And I thought to myself, I'm standing in a sea of pig food. This is worth nothing at all. And then I thought, pig food. That's what I need. I need pigs. So now, fast forward 9 years. We raise 160 hogs a year. We have our pork in the restaurant. And we don't just have pork. We have, so good pork. Absolutely delicious. We make our own prosciutto. And it's like butter, and it's unique, and it's wonderful. And I never would have done that if I had been actually good at growing turnips at the time. Being open to the possibilities, being open to sift through the ashes of the failure to find the little nuggets, that's a key thing. And in that process, the fear of failure, for me at least, tends to fall away. Because when I think about failure, I think that it says something about me. I think it says, Eric, you're not good enough. Eric, you didn't work hard enough. Eric, this was a rash decision. Eric, what in the heck were you thinking? But when I go through the process of sifting through the ashes and I find the nugget, and that nugget turns into gold, it turns out that those are my best ideas. I'm not that creative of a chef, but when I fail and then I sift through the failure, then I find the creativity. Then I find my best ideas, my best solutions, and it's liberating. It turns something that's scary and miserable, failure, it didn't work out, it turns it into something hopeful and joyful. So for Jill and me, our companion, failure, has given us this sense of hope, which is perverse and weird, but it's part of the process. When you do farm to table, when you really do farm to table, failure is a fundamental part of what your life is. And finding the joy in the failure, finding a joy in the process is liberating, and it's wonderful. And we've tried to enculture that into our staff. I come up with the next new bright idea, and I explain it to the staff, and I see that look in their eyes of, oh God, Eric, here we go again. Like, this can't turn out well. You see the apprehension. And I think, hey, what could possibly go wrong? And they know, and I know that everything can go wrong, everything will go wrong. But in the end, that's okay, because we're flexible, we're strong, we're gritty, we're durable, we're open to the possibilities, and we love change, and we love the joy that comes from all of the destruction that happens along the way. And together, we as a group, my staff, Jill, myself, we grow through all of the failures. And for me, that's hope. Thank you.